Good morning, Amazon. Flash briefing. Amazon. Flash briefing.
Jamie, here's the latest from your flash briefing. In NPR
The
News.
latest.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Nora Rahm. Stocks opened higher this morning after a stronger than expected jobs report. NPR's Scott Horsley reports the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose about
always up or
400
down.
points in early trading.
U.S. employers added a whopping 339,000 jobs last month, far more than forecasters had predicted. Job gains for March and April were also revised up by a total of 93,000 jobs. Healthcare, hospitality, and business services all reported strong hiring in May, while the manufacturing sector saw a small loss of jobs. The employment figures are compiled from a survey
Boost
of
the
businesses,
numbers.
but the unemployment rate comes from a survey
Fire
of
some this
households,
month.
and that paints a somewhat
Higher
less
on
rosy
that.
picture. The unemployment rate, which
Now
had
that
been
they
tied
said
to a
it's up, go
half-century
ahead and
low,
fire a
inched
bunch.
up in May to 3.7%.
Then it'll be down
The
at the end of the
unemployment rate for
month.
African Americans
Then
rose to
higher again at the beginning,
5.6%
so we
after
can
falling to
say
a
it all
record
over
low the
again.
month before.
Yeah.
Scott Horsley, NPR News, Washington.
President Biden is scheduled to speak to the nation at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. He's expected to discuss legislation to raise the debt limit, which awaits his signature.
Which
The
is
Senate
ridiculous.
passed the bill
We
last
should be
night
paying our
to
debts.
raise the debt ceiling for 2 years and to reduce some federal spending. Biden called the bipartisan agreement a big win for the economy and the American people.
That's why.
The Treasury Department had warned without an increase in the debt limit, the U.S. could default on its debts on Monday. Secretary of State Antony
But
Blinken
you're
is
gonna
in
borrow
Helsinki
more?
today,
Come on.
where the
man.
focus has been on Russia's war in
Stupid.
Ukraine. Finland is the
Purposely
newest
running
member
our
of
country
NATO.
into the ground.
NPR's
That's
Lauren
what they're
Freer
doing.
reports.
Speaking at City Hall in the Finnish capital Helsinki, Secretary of
But
State
you got
Antony
all kinds
Blinken
of money you
compared
can send
Russian
into
President
military
Vladimir
overseas
Putin to
and
the Soviet
increase your own
dictator
family's
Joseph
wealth.
Stalin and the current moment in Europe to 1939. He said Russia's invasion of Ukraine has hurt everyone, including Russia
By the
itself.
way, the
Putin's
people's
war of
money.
aggression against Ukraine
The
has
people's
been
money.
a strategic failure,
Yes.
greatly diminishing
Yes,
Russia's
it has.
power, its interests, and its influence for years to come.
With military support for Ukraine, Blinken said
Wow,
the U.S. is
somebody
committed to
speaking the
finding a just and lasting peace that'll address accountability for the war, reconstruction, and
Yeah,
reconciliation.
peace has got to come
Laura
soon.
Freyer, NPR News, London.
Officials
They
in
don't have
Canada
nothing
say
to
this
throw
year's
at it
early
anymore.
wildfire season is unprecedented. They say
like
so
investing
far about
everything into
7.5 million
It's
acres
done.
have
It's
been
over.
destroyed. Deputy Chief David Meldrum is with Halifax Regional Fire and Emergency. He says firefighting efforts are being hampered by the weather. It's too dry and windy.
I spoke to one of our firefighters who said, you can stamp on an ember, and it won't go out. You can stamp on it and step back, and it reignites. You've got to apply water. It's so very, very dry.
Emergency officials say extreme weather events in Canada are likely to increase in both frequency and severity because of climate change. This is NPR News. Tropical storm Mawar is dropping heavy rain on Japan today. Forecasters warn of potential floods and landslides. Warnings are posted in parts of western and central Japan.
Warning.
With about a foot of rain possible by tomorrow morning. It's the same storm that pounded Guam as a typhoon last week. Water regulators in Arizona will begin curtailing new growth in the booming Phoenix area. NPR's Kirk Ziegler
Curtailing?
reports the move follows
Okay.
the release of a
Is that
new
a
state
technical term?
report predicting severe shortages of groundwater due to climate change.
The new report shows there will be a major shortage of groundwater in the next 100 years in Greater Phoenix. This prediction is huge, forecast to be a deficit on the order of 4.6 million acre-feet of water. Think of 1 acre-foot as the amount of water
Well,
a
then
typical
perhaps you
household
should allow
uses in a
people
year.
to
The
collect
report's
rainwater.
release is not necessarily a surprise, and it won't affect
No, that
most
would take way
development
more
in
water
Greater
from the
Phoenix
ground.
that's
Oh,
already
okay,
in the
well,
pipeline.
there's nothing to water
It's
the
been
crops
approved
with
under
but
the
the ground.
state's strict water laws, nor in the city itself, which
So
is
you do what you
assuring
got to
residents
do.
its supplies are stable and sustainable. But the state will now likely put the brakes on any new subdivision proposals in suburban and unincorporated areas. Kirk Ziegler, NPR News.
Fort Bragg, North Carolina is now Fort Liberty. A ceremony was held this
Fort
morning to
Liberty?
change the name. It's part of the
Wow.
Defense Department's effort to rename military installations bearing the names of Confederate soldiers, to acknowledge systemic racism,
Oh my
and to make
God.
military bases more welcoming to current and prospective black
It's not
service members.
racism.
I'm Nora Rahm.
You were
NPR
pushing the
News.
Native Americans west.
Hey, it's
A
Aisha
lot of those
Harris
people
from
stood
Pop
up
Culture
for
Happy
them.
Hour.
If you
Slaves
love
stood up
NPR
for them. They had
podcasts,
whole
you'll want
battalions
the
of
new
slaves that
NPR
fought for
Plus
the
podcast
Confederacy.
bundle.
They had their
Enjoy
own
an
government, their
all-you-can-eat
own
selection
system.
of NPR Plus
When
podcasts
it
with
came
sponsor
down, you
free
were selling
listening
them
and
the
bonus
slaves.
episodes. Plus,
All right,
you'll be
Amazon.
supporting public radio. Check it
Amazon.
out at plus.com.
Skip. Gosh, it's not
In NASA
racist.
news, members of the
want
public
us
are
to know what's
invited to add
racist?
their names to an original poem dedicated to NASA's
Jackson on the
Europa
$20
Clipper
bill.
mission before the spacecraft
Let's talk about
begins
what
its
he did.
journey to Jupiter's moon
Let's get rid of
Europa in
that.
October 2024. The poem and the names will be like a message in a bottle, traveling
What he
billions
did
of
in the Native
miles as the
Americans.
mission
Y'all
investigates whether the
supporting
ocean
proud
fought
of
to
what
lie
he
then.
did. But you diss on the people that stood up for
NASA
him.
and Boeing will host a media teleconference at 4:30 p.m. EDT today, Thursday, June 1st, to
Not that
provide
I'm
an update on
advocating
the
for
agency's
whoever it
going
was
crew
that name.
flight test to the
I don't even
International
know
Space
that
Station,
Confederate
the
person
first
did.
flight with astronauts on the
Changed it to
company's
Fort Liberty, but-
CST-100 Starliner spacecraft.
I ain't got no problem with the word liberty, though. That's
NASA
good.
will host a
I just
media
wish you people in
teleconference
the
at 4
government would
p.m.
figure out what it
EDT on
means.
Monday, June 5th, to discuss the follow-up report by the Psyche Mission Independent Review Board. The new assessment reviews corrective actions taken following the November 2022 report. NASA and SpaceX are targeting 12:35 p.m. EDT Saturday, June 3rd, to launch the company's 28th commercial resupply services mission to the International Space Station from Launch Complex 39A at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida.
We have a problem.
En una ceremonia celebrada el martes en el Palacio de la Moncloa de Madrid, España se convirtió en el 25º país en firmar los acuerdos de Artemis. El administrador de la NASA, Bill Nelson, participó en la ceremonia de firma por parte de la agencia, y Diana Morant, la ministra de Ciencia y Innovación Española, firmó en nombre de España. In weather. Currently, in Seattle it's 56 degrees Fahrenheit with mostly cloudy skies. Today, you
Really?
can expect lots of
It
sun,
looks like
with a high of
mostly no
70
cloudy
degrees and a
skies.
low of 50 degrees.
What weather are you
NASA.
watching?
Members of the
Alright.
public are invited to add their
Amazon.
names to an...
Off. Amazon. Tell us a joke.
What do you call Spider-Man with no webs?
What?
Offline.
Offline. Spider-Man with no webs. Offline. How's it going for the kids? Alright, cool. Everybody have a wonderful day. It's Friday here. Saturday other places in the world. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. Peace, love, prosperity. Rock on. Hang loose. All those other things.